Hello. So today we're going to be talking about integers. Okay, understanding integers. And all an integer is a number on a number line, including 0. So we've got positive numbers, we got negative numbers. Now, anybody who's ever had a bank account can appreciate negative numbers, or maybe not. I know I certainly don't when it comes to my bank account. But in this case, we can use this for a lot of different reasons. Let's say we're looking at the temperature. Let's say these 1s, 2s, and 3s, let's say this is 10 degrees, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Let's say this is negative 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. If you've ever been in a place where it gets below freezing or below 0, maybe you're talking about Celsius or even Fahrenheit, you might be in the negative numbers, which is dang cold. Or in your positive numbers, which, if you're getting above 60, you're pretty warm. If you're below 60, you might be a little chilly. So now, let's say let's say each of these represents 1,000 feet. Right now, I'm at 5,000 feet above sea level, roughly. Like 510 or something like that. But anyway, 5,000, 10 feet. Well, let's just say 5,000. So we're at 5,000 feet above sea level. Now let's say there is a fish that is 1,000 feet below sea level. Okay, so we got 1,000 feet over here below sea level. Okay, and 0 represents sea level. Okay, so there is, how far is it from me to that fish? Let's say I've got a ruler or a yardstick that stretches all the way to the Pacific. Out there. Okay, no, out there. So anyway, so the Pacific's this direction from where I'm standing. And so I've got this yardstick, and beside that mountain, let's say I can stretch it all the way out there, and I'm walking out there, and I'm looking straight down because I'm not afraid of heights. My wife would freak out, but not me. So I'm looking down, and I'm trying to determine how far away from that fish I am located. So in this case, I am 6,000 feet, because if I have a number on this side and I have a number on this side, these are added together. And I'll show you. We're talking about absolute value. Absolute value, there are no negatives. Okay, all it cares about is how far away from 0 you are. So in this case, 5,000 feet is just 5,000 away from 0. 1,000 feet is just 1,000 away from 0. So I'm going to put my brackets on either side. That will indicate absolute value. So that's going to equal 5,000 as per the brackets. Now I'm going to put 1,000 in there in my absolute value, negative 1,000, and that's going to equal 1,000. Now, to determine from here to here, I'm just going to add those together, which is going to equal 6,000 feet difference. Okay, 6,000 feet difference. If it's on the same side, we just subtract it. So if I have, let's say I'm at 5,000 feet, and there's a bird that's at 4,000 feet. Okay, let's say I'm on the edge of a cliff and a bird's flying down below me. In that case, I'm only 1,000 feet, so I take 5,000 minus 4,000 equals 1,000. Okay, which would be the difference. If I have them on opposite sides, like the fish, for instance, and myself, then I just add them together, and that gives me 6,000 feet difference. Okay, so absolute value is just the distance between from 0 to the number that you're dealing with. Okay, if you have, let's try another example. So let's say these represent 500 or hundreds. Okay, so 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. So let's say you've got $600 in your bank account, and you spend right there, and then you spend $200. Okay, or let's say you spend a bunch of money, and then you end up with $400. Okay, so you've got 600, the absolute value, and then you check your bank account later, and you've only got $400 in there. The absolute value of 400 is 400. Now I'm just going to subtract this, and that's going to tell me that while you weren't looking, you went and spent $200. It's like, oh man, you know, excuse me. Man, I just went and spent a chunk of money that I probably needed for rent. But because they're on the same side, you just subtract them. So you just subtract them. That's my subtraction sign there. So you just subtract them. So 600 minus 400 is equal to 200. Okay. Now let's say you have $600 in there in your bank account, and you go and look at it, and all of a sudden you've got negative 200. Okay. That's not a good thing. You're like, oh man, I'm overdraft. So now you say, I've got negative 200. Put my absolute value brackets on there, and that gives me 200 away from 0. Now, because they're on opposite sides, I have to add those. So I'm going to add these together. So 600 plus 200 is going to give me $800. And I know that I spent $800 of probably money I didn't have because I needed to pay rent. So anybody who's ever had a bank account can appreciate negative numbers. Okay, so try to keep it positive, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.